Hi, I'm Sherie Gayle, and I am getting a Ph.D. in Theology and Religious Studies at Georgetown University. I was converted as a teenager at 16 in Kingston, Jamaica. I'm Jamaican. My family moved to Northern Virginia, which is a DC suburb. I stayed in Baltimore for 10 years. I started out in the youth ministry, moved over into our singles ministry, and then I was appointed as a women's ministry leader in Baltimore. I was able to really hone in on what is it about the ministry, this thing called the ministry, that I'm particularly good at or feel called to do, and that was teaching. What sort of knew in the back of my head was that my gender would in some ways affect or limit how much or the ways in which I could serve in the ministry, which I felt was really my calling, was to be a minister. It was in Baltimore that I decided, okay, what started out as a master's, then, work on some languages. And so, I just get a PhD, right? Like what's the point in having all these classes if I don't actually put it to good service? I applied for PhD programs and got accepted to Georgetown University. For the last 5 years, I've been living in DC, going to school at Georgetown. I'm also a residential minister there, so I live on campus. So I work with late antique, early medieval commentary text across the Abrahamic traditions. So that's Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So I look at the ways in which scholars, religious thinkers are commenting on sacred texts. I look at those texts to examine the ways in which women are presented in commentary, primarily because a lot of where we get our sense for scripture is in commentary. When I go to Sunday services, I rarely hear or find that women's examples get invoked or spoken of from the pulpit. I know as a woman, my connection to God is via the men in my life, which is fine. And I think as people, we need to know how to stand in someone else's shoes and make sense of life from another person's perspective. But it's been very challenging for me as a woman because that is the norm. I have put myself in David's shoes, in Paul's shoes, in Peter's shoes. But for me, I would like to walk in Hannah's shoes or in Ruth's shoes. These are not stories that get a lot of purchase, especially in public ways. There is a legacy of faith that I would like to be a part of resurrecting, bringing from the shadows and allowing women to have people who look like, sound like, and have lived a life similar to them that they can imitate. I get to be a part of resurrecting a lot of women of faith that have been lost to us. We just don't know their stories, and they exist. I hope that my research will give women the chance to see themselves in history, in God's story, but also to see the vital role that we play in ensuring this Christian legacy continues. So for me, that's very important.